What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in. So I want to start off by saying thank you for everyone that's been supporting this channel recently, all you new guys that's been subscribing, your likes, all the kind words, kind messages and stuff like that. Thank you guys so much. I was not expecting to even hit 1,000 subscribers this year. The fact that I'm already at 1,100 and climbing, guys, thank you so much. Please hit that like button, refer me to your friends, so on and so forth, guys. Thank you again so much. So without further ado, I'm sure most of you guys that are going to be watching this right now, mostly the new ones on the channel, have been contacting me through either through comments on the videos or through Instagram. So this video is going to be basically an FAQ, frequently asked questions that I've received since basically I've started this channel. And some of this is going to be kind of mixed to some of the stuff that I've seen on the 3G's Facebook page. If you guys don't know what 3G's is, 3G EEZ is a forum directly dedicated to the third generation as well as second and first generation Honda Accords. Mostly third gens, but all the information in regards to like A series, A20, A1, A3, the JDM B20As, or even the European, the EDM stuff, like it's all on this forum. Like I suggest for all you guys new to these cars and new to these platforms, check out those forums. It's like the holy grail of information on there. The second one would be the Facebook page, the 3G's Facebook page. Check that out. Use the search function on that page. I guarantee you whatever question you have has been already answered on that Facebook page. Almost 100% guaranteed. So I'm going to start this off by one of the most common questions I get, whether it's through, well actually it is mostly through Instagram. So let's just start there. Transmissions. What's the difference between transmissions? What can be used? Now, before I start off on that, everything I'm about to describe in this video I've made a video on. However, some of them, looking back at it later, I kind of missed a couple of key details in it, whether I forgot about it or I actually didn't even know about it at the time. So hopefully this is kind of a refresher as well as an update for you guys. So transmissions. I get people asking me, hey, will an A20, A3, like will the fuel injected transmission bolt up to this? Will the A18 with a prelude transmission, or prelude transmission bolt on to my A20 or A18 and vice versa, so on and so forth. So I'm gonna clear that out. Any A series, A18, A20, whether it's carbureted and fuel injected, will all bolt up to each other. The only one that is basically super similar, if not the same, for the A series is the D16A, which is found in the first generation Acura Integra. That bell housing will not bolt onto any of the A series, none of them. The half case, the gears, the final drive, the differential will all fit in the A series transmissions. You can even bolt the half case from the D16A of the Integra onto a A20 transmission bell housing or A18. So hopefully you get that out of the way. What are the differences? I'm going to be posting some pictures up here in a second so you guys can see exactly all the gear ratios and everything so you guys can compare it. So for the carbureted and fuel injected A20s, okay, A20s A1, A20 A3s, first through fifth gear and reverse are all the same. Final drive is different on the fuel injected. Carburetor's final drive is 3.86. The fuel injected LXI's final drive is 4.06. Okay, the A18 transmission, or the A series found in the second generation Honda Preludes, okay, they are second through fifth gear and I believe reverse are slightly shorter. Not night and day shorter, but they are shorter. First gear is slightly longer, not by much. The final drive is the same exact final drive as the fuel injected, 4.06. Now moving on to the shortest gearing you can put in an A series is from, as I mentioned earlier, the D16A transmission, which is found in the first generation Acura Integra. The final drive of that transmission is 4.21. And second through fifth gear is all noticeably shorter. First gear, however, is longer than the A20s. So I didn't know that at first. Looking back at it now, would I have kept A20 first gear in there? No, not at all. I ain't gonna lose sleep over it, especially with the final drive being, even shorter than the A20s. There's nothing I'm gonna be, losing sleep about. In fact, there's some certain drag racing teams, depending on how much big power they make, to where I believe it's M Factory. I could be wrong on that. They actually make a longer first gear set for like B series and I believe D series as well. And from what I've read and from what I've heard, I don't know anybody personally that has ran their gearing, especially that longer first gear, but it has been known to help their 60-foot having a longer first gear. So maybe by keeping this longer first gear in here might help me in the long run. I don't know. I'm not planning on making this thing a track monster. So anyway, moving on. So if I was to do a comparison of from long gearing to short gearing in a basis of B series transmissions, let's put it this way. So the carbureted A20s, A20A1 transmissions would be like the LS B series transmissions out of like the B18 non-VTEC engines. Second would be the A18 transmission found in the second generation Prelude. Those would be comparable to the GSR, the B18 C1, and I believe even the Type R transmission. I don't know what the difference between gear ratios are there. I think the Type R is somewhat around the same there. I could be wrong. Correct me in the comments below. But the A18 second generation Prelude transmission gearing is comparable to a B series GSR transmission. Now the shortest, the D16A, out of the first generation Acura Integra, that would be comparable to the B16 transmission, which is the shortest gearing out of all the B series from factory. So hopefully that's a good comparison for all you guys. Okay, moving forward. Next commonly asked question, mostly from guys that have gotten an A series, or sorry, an A20. They want to do a rebuild on it, but their local pickup part only has a carbureted model or only has a fuel injected model. They're not unsure of what the differences are between them all. For the most part, they're the same exact engines except for little differences here and there. I mean, nothing crazy. They'll go right in your engine bay. If you want to throw the carbureted intake manifold on a fuel injected head on an A20 A3 head, it'll work, and vice versa. So if you guys looked at the specs and looked at the differences of power differences and compression differences between the carbureted and fuel injection, you'll notice there's a difference in compression and a definite notice different in power. So what differences were made? Yes, is fuel injection, during that time a superior power making platform over carbureted? Yes. As well as the tuning? Yes. But there's also mechanical things that made it have a little bit more power as well. So one of the differences between the fuel-injected A3 and A1 engines are the fuel-injected had a slightly more aggressive camshaft in them than the A20A1. Is it so drastically different to where it's worth going junkyard hunting for one and throwing in a cam? No, not really. And honestly, at that point, just grab the whole head. My 2 cents. Just go ahead and do that. At that point, if you're looking for a cam, take your carbureted A20A1 camshaft, have it regrinded from like a company like Delta Cams. Like, you might as well just do that and get better results. Another difference, compression. Where does the compression differences come in from? So there is some, I had to chase this down through the forums, and there was reports that it was due to the difference in combustion chamber of the A20A1 and the A20A3, and I really didn't think that was the case. And as further researching, and for all you super 3G, knowledge holders out there, correct me if I'm wrong on this, please, and please send me a link as well. The differences are in the pistons. They use a different piston to bump up compression. So carbureted, you normally see around a 911 compression. Fuel injected is 931. To get a highest compression setup in all of A series is to actually, if you guys didn't know this, I've mentioned it briefly before, but I haven't really mentioned it in detail to this, mainly because I didn't really know too much about it and didn't really have any concern about it because I could never really source an A18 head from a second generation Prelude. If an A18 head from the second generation Prelude will bolt onto an A20 block and vice versa. It's been done. I've seen, well, not seen, I've heard of people doing it on write-ups. There's a really good write-up by a guy on the 3Gs forum of R. Judgy Mr. Judge has done some crazy NA work. He's probably, to my knowledge, the only guy that's ever gone super crazy NA build on a single cam A20. It's crazy. Check that out if you're interested in that. So the A18 head actually has a smaller combustion chamber, 1.8 liter in comparison to the 2.0 liter of the A20. And so that's where you get the compression bump into that. If you were to bore out the A18 head to match the the same combustion chamber size of the A20 head to the 2 liter head, then there'll even be more compression, from what I've heard. Again, there's a lot more to it than that. Even to my knowledge, I believe even the A18 head's deck height is different, which also helps slightly in compression. I mean, if not, you can even get it shaved down, you can get even more compression from that. I'm not too knowledgeable. I've never really pursued a naturally aspirated A-series build. In fact, I'm not really too big on naturally aspirated single cams in general. Not saying they don't exist. It's just, in my personal opinion, most Honda single cams were better suited and better bang for your buck going for turbo application, in my opinion. So, what are the differences in A20 and A18 head minus the combustion chamber size? Well, the A18 head actually has double intake and exhaust valves. If you guys ever looked at took the valve cover off an A20, you'll notice there's going to be 2 valves on intake side and 1 valve per cylinder on exhaust side. Now, I couldn't source any pictures of this with a valve cover off an A18 head. If you can, and if you have one, please send DM me on my Instagram. I'll leave a link down below on that, of that, because I actually want to see that and hopefully repost it to kind of do a comparison difference of the A18 head valve train and the A20. So please do so if you guys have that opportunity, please. So given that, from what I've read, even the springs in the A18 head are slightly stiffer and the retainers are slightly better, which in turn means more reliability at higher revs. So what's higher revs to you mean? Safely rev to 7,000 to 8,000 RPMs if you're making power up there and not risking valve float or any other sort of damage. So another key feature about the A18 head is that the bolt pattern for the intake manifold does not match that of the A20. So you cannot put the carbureted or fuel injected intake manifold from an A20 onto the A18 head without having some modification. At that point, I highly recommend just sourcing out a B16 or a non-VTEC B18 intake manifold and modify that to fit on the A18 head. If you're going to be doing all that work to make the A20 intake manifold fit, you might as well upgrade and get a better flowing intake manifold from the B series onto the A18. So that's about it. So moving on to the next part, I get questions of, hey, can the A20 handle boost? In my personal opinion, the A20 was designed for boost, and for any sort of power adders for the A series, there's no better way than boost. I mean, that kind of goes across almost every Honda motor ever made, in my personal opinion, as well. But so basically, the bottom end of the A20, for those of you that don't know, is a closed deck iron block. There is no company that makes aftermarket pistons or rods for it. That being said, you can use B series bottom end parts. So you can use B20 from 96 to 2000 Honda CR-V B20. You can use those size pistons, and you can mated with a B18 non-VTEC, so B18A, B18B, or also known as the LS. You can use those rods that'll fit and will work with our crankshaft. So to make that work, though, you're going to have to get the A20 block bored out from the factory 82.7 millimeter up to 84 millimeters, matching that of what the B20 bore size is. So the cool thing about this is, whether you're going to go forced induction or naturally aspirated, you're going to be getting bigger bore out of it on your A20, accommodating those B20 pistons to 84 millimeter, along with a shorter stroke from the LS rods. So how does that work out? A20 stroke is 91 millimeter. The B18 is 89 millimeter. So you're going to have a faster, rotation in all that, which makes it a little bit easier for higher revs. So hopefully that helps for you guys wondering all that, how to make a you know, how to build a bottom end of an A20, that's the best route you can go with. And with the prices, basically you can do all that upgrade and have a somewhat bulletproof bottom. I always say somewhat, I never say everything's 100% bulletproof, but a somewhat bulletproof bottom end for under $1,000. Okay, moving on. Will a Civic half-size radiator fit and work with the A20? Yes, I have done that, not even aftermarket, an actual OEM from my 96 Civic EJ8. I've taken that half-size Civic radiator and I put it in my 87 hatchback Accord. It has worked. Mind you, I only pretty much used it in a test run in a video that you guys have seen here prior before. Sorry about that. That you've seen prior before. Check out A20 carbureted torque and weak pulls. It's that video. And it was winter time when I did it as well. How it holds up in the summertime, I have no idea. I would definitely upgrade to at least a dual core if you are going to be going half size. In my personal opinion, nothing beats going full size. Nothing beats it. In fact, I have plans on putting a full size radiator in here. I'll kind of keep that a secret for now and show you an alternative of having more space without sacrificing better cooling. Granted, yes, there are really good performing half-size radiators out there if you're willing to spend big money on it, but yes, short answer, yes, half-size Civic radiator will fit and it will cool efficiently, kind of depending on where you're at. Another thing to be said about that, it does sit a little bit taller than our factory radiator, so you're going to have to make custom mounts to make it work. The best route I've heard of someone making it work for any other radiator with similar specs to ours is they took the bottom portion of our factory radiator off with the rest of the fins and stuff and had that mount to our factory mounting points on the Accord, and then made further mounts for half size to make it fit you know, snug on the bottom part. Still gonna have to make custom brackets or find a way to keep it you know, pretty much mounted in efficiently on top though. Next up, this question will forever be always asked to the end of time. What coilovers fit the 3rd generation Accord? I'm going to go from least expensive to most expensive. Yellow Speed USA, K Sports, D2 Racing, and Sika. I have made a video describing all of these except for D2 Racing. Don't really know too much about it. I know members who have had them and had 0 complaints. In my personal opinion, with what's out there for around the same price range, I believe there are better options out there. I'm going to do a quick go over. We'll watch the video where I talk about suspension for our cars. I go super in depth in that. Yellow Speeds, under $1,000. They are made to order. It takes about a month, 2 max for you to be able to get them. K Sports, they're the oldest, they're the manufacturer that's been making coilovers for our cars the longest. And they also offer airbag suspension kits for our cars as well. D2 Racing, they're about the same price, give or take, as of K Sports. And next up, and the best option in my opinion, not from experience, but just from options given, Sika, C-E-I-K-A. They are built to order. They take about a month or 2 to have made, but they are the only ones where they give you options of spring rates. Just check out the website. Again, check out this where I talk about suspension on 3rd generation Accords. There's links to them. Like, when all is said and done of having a custom spring rate, a whole bunch of custom options, you're looking around $1,300 to $1,400 for, and what I would say, if made right and no issues, the last coilover suspension system you would ever need in that car ever again. All right, and lastly, where did I get my fender flares? eBay. 3.5 inch up front, 3.5 inch in rear. eBay. Universal fender flares. They're all over eBay. Alright, I hope that answers all your guys' questions. If you have any more questions, go ahead and ask me down in the comments below. Hit me up on Instagram, Asian_Zensation. Links down below in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.